30 haunting facts about Titanic. 1. Even when adjusted for inflation, the movie Titanic, directed by James Cameroon, cost more to make than the original Titanic ship. 2. Game of Thrones is filmed in the same studio the Titanic was built in, not the movie but the actual RMS Titanic. 3. Not a single engineer, they stayed till their last breath and kept the power on, so others could escape. 4. A priest on board the Titanic refused a place on a lifeboat twice and stayed behind to hear confessions and give absolution to the people left on the ship. 5. In 1943, the Nazis also made a film called Titanic. It was an anti-British propaganda piece about the famous shipwreck. Royal Air Force bombed the DH-6 on April 15, 1912, a day later. A steward, who hadn't yet heard about their Titanic sinking, spotted an iceberg smeared with red paint and snapped a photo of it. 7. In 1945, the Royal Air Force accidentally sunk a ship full of Holocaust victims. The ship had been used in the Nazi propaganda film Titanic. About 3x more people died in that ship sink than in the actual Titanic. 8. 2 years after Titanic sank, the ship Empress of Ireland sank in the Gulf of St. Lawrence and lost 68.5% of all its passengers, 0.5% more than Titanic. The event was buried in the papers because of World War I. 9. During the filming of the movie Titanic, an angry crew member put PCP in James Cameron's soup, sending him and 50 others to the hospital. 10. James Cameron made the movie Titanic just to get a dive to the shipwreck. Funded by the movie studio, not because he particularly wanted to make a movie. It was to be premiered in 11. A first-class ticket on the Titanic cost $4,375 in 1912, almost $100,000 today. 12. A woman named Violet Constance Jessop survived the sinking of the Titanic. Interestingly, she also survived the sinking of its sister ship, the Britannic, and a collision with its third sister ship, the Olympic. 13. An Australian billionaire has taken efforts to fund the building of a new Titanic cruise ship, which will set out from England in a mere 4 years. Advance ticket sales are soon to follow. 14. The character in movie Titanic, who drinks from a flask and rides the ship down into the ocean with Jack and Rose, is based on a real person who did that. He survived and thanked the alcohol. 15. The original founders, owners of Macy's, died on the Titanic and were the old couple in the movie, who went to sleep as the ship went down. 16. The Titanic will be completely gone within 20 years. 17. There is a conspiracy theory that the Titanic never sunk. Instead, it was her sister ship, the Olympic, that sank, and it was all done to claim insurance. 18. James Cameron sketched Rose's nude portrait for the movie Titanic. 19. When Robert Ballard, professor of oceanography, announced he was planning a mission to find the Titanic, it was actually a cover story for a classified mission to search for lost nuclear submarines. They finished before they were due back, so the team spent the extra time at sea looking for the Titanic and actually went on to found it. 20. First-class meals aboard the Titanic consisted of up to 13 courses, each with a different accompanying wine pairing, and would last 4 or 5 hours. 21. Titanic survivors were charged $1 per word to send telegrams from their Carpathia, the ship that rescued them. One man used his last dollar to send the word safe to his mother. 22. millionaire Ben Guggenheim I refused a lifeboat on the Titanic, and entrusted a survivor to pass on a message to his wife. No woman shall be left aboard this ship because Ben Guggenheim is a coward. 23. The first movie about the Titanic was released a month after its sinking, and starred one of its survivors. 24. They built a ship almost as big as the Titanic with a double hull 50 years earlier. It hit some rocks and didn't sink because of the double hull. They didn't even have to inform the passengers about the damage. 25. The 1998 sci-fi film Lost in Space was referred to by some as the iceberg because it ended Titanic's 15-week run as #1 at the box office. 26. Second Officer Charles Lightoller confessed years after the sinking of Titanic that binoculars were indeed on board, in a locked box for which no one seemed to have a key. 27. There was a book written about an unsinkable 800-foot cruise liner ship that hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic on an April night that didn't have enough lifeboats, and killed most of its passengers. The ship was called the Titan. The book was written in 1898, about 14 years before the actual Titanic sank. 28. SS Neronic, a ship owned by the same company that owned Titanic, disappeared on the same route without a trace in 1893. 29. Of the 711 passengers of the Titanic that were rescued, only 58 were men. 30. Titanic's lifeboat #1 with capacity for 40 people was lowered with only 12 people on board. Later into the night, they refused to return to try and rescue other passengers. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for my videos.